All right. Hello, everyone. And first of all, thank you for being here. It's been a long day. And I understand everyone from you coming from work today. And knowing that I decided to make my presentation a bit simple and interactive so that you can a little bit relax and maybe try to remember simple basics, things like data type and file formats. It will not be that advanced and it won't be that much informational, but it will be as a reminder for you to pay attention for small things. And during my presentation, I'm going to tell you a story, which will tell why data types and file formats matter. And before we started, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. I am just a recent business analyst graduate, and I had the opportunity to work as a data analyst at Korean brand fashion industry franchise, which have like different stores across America. And I worked with the management to help them to analyze data, to help them to make data-driven decisions or make analytics to analyze what kind of products are sellable in different kind of places and make reports. So I work with Power BI, SQL, and then I started to learn Python. And this is where I started to learn more about data types. And why am I presenting this basic topic? It's because when I worked, I was making Power BI dashboards. And I'll be honest, I'm the beginner in Python, and I was using AI to write the code. And I was, at the beginning, relying on it when I was doing my Power BI reports. And I had a problem. When I needed to update my code, it basically started to be slow, or it started to break. And I wanted to try to analyze what could be the reason behind it and why actually they matter. And this is where, when I'm gonna start this story, you are gonna be the data detective. I guess any one of you, does anyone here like any detective genre? Perfect, I guess, yeah. It's like, it's my favorite genre, and I wanted to prepare this story in a detective format. So you will be following a story of a detective who explores the story, works with data. Here will be our case. You'll follow the story and you'll try to understand the problem. We have three different businesses. They are identical businesses, and they have same data. But in the end of our story, only one business will survive. And your task as a data detective to understand what could be, and understand who or what was the killer of the business. The story, let's meet our three victims. We have the first company, it's called hypothetical company, Data Corp A. They are an e-commerce startup. They have 1 million daily transactions. Their value is like 50 million of their revenue. And these other two companies are also same. They are also startups. They also have 1 million transactions. They have 50 million of revenue. They look identical on the surface, but something is different in their data pipeline. You as a detective, you will look at these four variables. Let's take these four variables. So all companies have this variable. All companies have their customer ID. All companies have variable ages, categories. They have dates. And you as a data detective, what do you think could be something different in here with all of this information? What do you think could be different among all of these three companies?
Purchase dates.
Yeah. All right. Purchase days. Purchase dates. All right. We bet as a data detectives that it is like a purchase date. So let's follow the story. Let's gather our evidence. So, all right. This is when our investigation begins. Here you can read the data detectives' log from day first of their investigation. Data detectives start to look at the data storage. The data detective identifies that all three companies have same databases. They have same cloud providers and same Python frameworks, but they notice something strange in their code. Here you can see from the first company's data Corp A, they have their variables saved as string. The data Corp B, they have their variables saved as strings, but the variable age is saved as integer. And the data Corp C variables, they are actually saved in the formats that are related to the variables. For example, they use the pandas library and save the purchase date as a date format. And now I think you'll have a question of thinking, do like something simple can actually be a killer of this business? To have like this kind of thinking right now? Yeah, so this is what the data detective was thinking about, but when you're a data detective, you need to look for evidences, not make any hypothetical thinking. So they start to gather evidences. And the data detective looks for the report. And what the detective finds out that from the data Corp A, they had 15,000 of monthly costs on their cloud. And data Corp C, they had 2,000 only. So the pattern emerges, right? But the killer is not yet identified. Now you're as a data detective. You're following his work. And let's read another log from Data Detective's journal. Detective writes, I dug deeper into their data storage methods. Each company chose a different file format for their data export and analytics. Data Corp A, they used CSV files, which took like 100 megabytes per file, 30 minutes of processing. Data Corp B, they used JSON files, which took like a longer time to process and took more memory. Data Corp C, they decided to choose Parquet, which took like 5 minutes of processing time. Still, we're getting our information, but detectives did not have any evidence all gathered to identify the killer. This is when the final day starts, the Black Friday. Yeah, this is when the detective will have opportunity to finally find out the killer. As every business know, especially e-commerce and like retail stores, they know that during Black Friday, the traffic increases like a lot, significantly. And this is when the systems of the businesses start to be like, they have their tests, like how they are working. And this is when our Data Corp A, first company, crashed. They were like out of their memory. They lost approximately like 2 million in sales. Data Corp C, another company, they struggled. Their customers waited about 5 minutes and they lost like about 1 million in sales. And Data Corp C thrived. Yes, they because of their system was optimized, they could have gained 3 million in sales. It can look simple when you're observing it from your side, but it's different when you're talking about millions of people who are using the same website and whose system is like overloaded. Again, could something so simple be the killer? This was the question of the detective. And I guess everyone already have some assumption what or who the killer was, and this is where the time when you will have opportunity to tell your opinion and assumptions. Anyone here guesses what could have been a killer for the two companies that couldn't survive during Black Friday? Anyone have any ideas what could have been a killer? All right, AWS, we have one option.
Was it age?
Age. All right, as it like we're gonna discuss it. Age. Okay, we have like also assumption it's age. Okay.
Sometimes, when integers and strings, they don't match. So I was thinking maybe it could be that. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the three comparisons, like I think like A had a string, but then B had an integer, and so like those don't really match.
Mm-hmm. Edge. Okay, edge. All right.
String processing overhead.
String processing overhead. All right. We'll take all of these assumptions and then we'll figure out the answer.
I think it was bytecode.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Let's. Oh. Yeah.
First, the categorical has multiple strings. Second, date is also string. But like if we use Parquet file, date will be represented as internally as an integer. Categorical will be represented as its ordinal formats. As everybody said, age is like a giveaway. Age will be represented in, so it will be like less memory. That's probably the reason the first team used CSV. Probably the reason if you use strings and CSVs, probably a recipe for disaster.
Someone was all right. We'll like discuss this everything after we'll find out the killer. I will just gather more options or more opinions.
I think it's the birthday day because when you save it on a different file format and you want to convert back to the day, sometimes when you save it in a PDF like CSV or like the other file, it might have different format. And when you convert, maybe there's some problem with converting the day back to the day.
All right. We'll save this as answer. Yep.
I don't even know what a Parquet file is, but I would imagine the file type.
Mm-hmm. All right, file type. All right. We'll discuss the Parquet file and others a little bit later. Okay.
Rather than one thing, to me it seems that their database is going to slow down and have a lot of trouble indexing. They're writing, obviously, a lot of information backwards and forwards. So the combination of using CSV files and the format or data formats, just made the whole back end essentially stop.
All right.
Not a single smoking. A single bullet.
Yes. It's not like it's not. I'm gonna show the answer, but it will not be the only response. So we'll discuss it. Okay.
One last try. Since we're storing in JSON and CSV files, maybe JSON, let's keep it aside. But for CSV, they were storing it all in one file. If they're storing everything in one file, they have to load the entire file into memory all at once, and that's 1 million users.
Yes.
I expect an out of memory. The company that just survived, they were using JSON files. Probably did something like the latest thing where you can load chunks of JSON at a time into memory, and it does not really crash. Parquet files don't really deal with most of the problems that you deal with here. That's my guess. Could be.
Cool. Oh, yep.
I mean, besides the runtime computation, I feel when you are saving the data, you are doing a lot of disk IOs, and Parquet, they are good at storing the data on the disk because it is compact. I would suggest that is the reason, because once the data is in memory and you have converted strings into whatever, the computation time would not be a difference. So it is reaccessing data from disk, which would increase the cost significantly. That is my guess.
Cool. We have two more hands.
You said company A died, like they crashed. How did they crash?
They were out of their money, out of working money, because of the cloud costs.
I thought it was out of memory. My bad.
Cloud cost in what?
They had, like, when the company, if it was startup, right? The company do not process profit yet. So they have investments. And when you're a startup, you need to save your investment. And they died because of the cost and because of these expenditures on cloud.
But my question is, was it storage or compute or network? What was it?
As I understood, was storage or compute, you mean the reason why they died?
So the cost can increase if you are storing a lot of data.
Mm-hmm.
The cost can increase if you are using a lot of compute. The cost can increase if you are making a lot of network costs.
Yep.
So my question is, which of these three costs were so significant that
They died, yes. This is where we're going to identify the killer, right? This is the source, this is the cause. The killer is the cause of the crash of the company. And here, the answer will be simple, but we'll identify it. Let us just quickly hear one more opinion.
I think all these issues we're talking about, they all boil down to data structures. Like just not choosing appropriate data structure for the job.
You mean data type? All right. Yeah, so anyone here had their ideas? Any other ideas? What could it have been?
I just want to say I want to take my previous idea back about I realized that CSVs can be read batch-wise.
All right, I guess everyone here will be amazing data detective because you actually identified the killer. So it was poor data type choice, but it was the beginning of, it wasn't the full answer. It was the beginning of the cause. And everything you just told and everything you just identified, we're just going to talk about it because they were the consequences of the poor data type choice and the poor file format choice. As you said, there was like string overload. Someone from here said because of the text was saved, the numbers were saved as a text, the memory increased. Someone here also mentioned that the wrong files slowed the process. Whoever said the reasons behind this, the cause of the failure of the companies, that was the right answer. The poor data type choice was the beginning, with the initial trouble, and then all of that took another problems like file formats, age, and everything ahead. So I want you to a little bit think about lessons we can take from this investigation, since you were a data detective in here. This is like from my side. We need to think, if you're in the beginning of your career in data and if you're a beginner in Python, please pay attention on choice of your data types. Use appropriate precisions, for example, in 32 or in 64. Someone asked what's like Parquet, I guess, do you like? I also didn't know what Parquet file is. As I understand so far, it is a way of saving information on the computer. And Parquet is different, for example, from CSV in the way it helps you to optimize your processing and storage because it reads data differently. For example, if you have a database with multiple columns, with a lot of columns instead of the rows, you must use Parquet to optimize the way of processing, not CSV. Because it reads files, instead of going up, down, it reads it opposite. Maybe I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone also here have any like explanation of Parquet better than I did, please help me to explain. All right. Does anyone want to explain what the Parquet file is or how they understood? Yep.
CSV populates by rows and as your slide says, Parquet, I was Googling it, and it's like populating by columns, which I'm not really sure how that makes it fast, other than you have to worry about row indexes and maybe that metadata not being there cuts down.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I was just going to add to that like when you have like columnar data storage, you guys think like an index column, you can have like I think it's like run length encoding, so you can compress a lot of like different sections by like a single value, which is like it's very terse in the sense that you have like a unique column value, and then if you have like millions of rows that have the same value, it's just like a few bytes basically for several million cells. Basically, does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. When you're using data sets which have like million of columns, just try to prefer Parquet as a file. When you have millions of like rows or observations, it's better to use it. Yes.
Well, I think it depends on the kind of database you're making too. Like if the analytics heavy databases, then you would probably use something more like Parquet too, because of the column sorting and things like that. And you're going to be able to have more optimized queries because you're probably not querying all of the rows. So you want that increased efficiency for grabbing columns that are frequently accessed, not just that data. That file helps compress more data and be able to access it that way.
You mean it depends on the database you use? Yeah. So I am just a beginner who started to practice my skills in Python. So this is where people here more know than I do. Yep.
I was going to say the biggest difference is a binary file format. And actually, the numbers stored can be more accurate because depending on how you output it, you might not have all the digits in the string format. Also because it's columnar, generally column data tends to be similar, so it compresses easier compared to row format like some of the other databases. But yeah, it's a big data format. There's also Apache Arrow too, which is kind of related where you can use that too.
Yeah, that's true. Why I've started everything like data types and file formats is just when I started, I'm not coming from technical background, and when I started to work with Python, I didn't know what data types were, and I took file format as granted. I only knew what PDF was. I work only with CSV, and I work with Excel at the beginning. But then I started to investigate, and I started to learn more. Actually, also figured out what the Parquet file is during this kind of events, because some of the speakers came in and said, hey, if you want to optimize your work, use different file formats. I never knew about the existence of like SVG, and even though I knew that our pictures are saved like PNG, I never wondered what it is. And when you're working with AI, I guess it's like important to understand, because AI can generate something in one file format. But if you're building something like some app, you need maybe to use different file formats. Some may work, some may not. And this is where I learned my lesson to learn this basic stuff. Before running ahead, just learn the basics. And do not forget them. Even though you think like you understand the basics, they sometimes may occur during your process of work. When you like build pipelines, you just rely on the code generated by AI again. You will not check the details. But when you fix something, you'll have the code like do not work. Why? Because of the small details we're not putting attention on. It's especially I wanted to give this for the beginners who are starting their career, to put attention on the small details on things like data types or data or file formats. Yeah, and you can do it in anywhere, in any software you're comfortable working with. The thing you need just to do is like use library pandas and use the function data frame, and then save your variables correctly. Just use a categorical function or datetime function. Always, as a data analyst, you need to pay attention for dates. They might be saved as strings, and when you perform analytics or something, they won't work if they're not saved as datetime formats. Yeah. Yep. So this is your homework, data detectives. You need to go and audit your pipelines to check if you understand every detail there, because it may cause a problem if you use cloud. You use something there which can bring a lot of problems for you and for your business. Don't let your business die, as well as to other companies. And just a quick reminder, this is a fictional story, so I've created it so that everyone can feel easy. I know that it's hypothetical, everything hypothetical, but I wanted to make it as much easy as possible to make everyone remember things and then to talk about them. Yeah, and the verdict: data types and file formats aren't just technical details. They matter for your applications. Yep, and that's it. Do you have any other questions? Maybe we can discuss the case, the story. Yep.
So the TLDR is Colonel Mustard with the Parquet file.
Yes.
Not with the Parquet file, with the CSV.
Have you encountered XML yet?
I did. I only read about it. I am right now on the way of learning more about Python, and when I started to learn about it, I didn't know how to save it, because I didn't know. I was searching save as PDF. How do I save it? And I was searching this way, or CSV. And then, I learned that there are other file formats like YAML, JSON. I didn't know about the JSON before. And thank you for everyone here for PAPI event, which help people who are in the beginning of their career to have opportunity to present, to learn on the mistakes, on your learning. And I hope this presentation was somewhat interesting for you, and maybe you figured out something new for you. Maybe you just had the chance to remember basics again. And thank you.